Good morning everyone, it's Ed and Mitch here from Cirencester Pro Shop. Because of the videos we've been doing, we've had a lot of requests for bunkers. So today Mitch is going to explain to you how to play a basic bunker shot. Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you. Right, so couple of things. Looking firstly at how actually to set up with the ball. I see lots of people playing the ball from back in their stance, which seems to be people leaving the ball in the bunker too much. Perhaps you're somebody that hits shots quite heavy out the bunker. Everyone decides to put the ball back in their stance to try and hit less sand, and that's actually the wrong way to go about it. We've got to make sure that the ball stays forwards in the stance. You can liken it to that how you'd play a driver, sort of inside. You can see here, sort of inside my front foot here with the ball forwards in my stance. That is to encourage hitting the sand first. What we're going to talk about in a second is actually going to help how much sand that we take. So we have to take the sand first. That's one of the keys of hitting a proper bunker shot. So the ball does stay forwards. We have to make sure that the weight goes forwards to try and help the club work downwards, and this is where some of us get found out and struggle with hitting a lot of sand early, is because the club doesn't work downwards, it actually works upwards, which you can see if I am making this sort of action, the club is actually bottoming out early, and that's why we take a lot of sand and only leave the ball either in the bunker or just on top of the bunker. So rather than changing that for just saying I'll put the ball back, we stick to what's right with the ball forwards, we move our weight forwards, anything sort of 60% onto our left side, so just so that we can feel that there is more weight on that side. Like I said, that's going to encourage the next important bit, which in the swing is how the club works downwards. Now, the intuitive thing to do here is to try and scoop the ball in the air, even if we know, a lot of us know that that's not right, in the back of our minds, and without even trying to do it, that's what happens. We sort of, especially with a difficult shot or a shot with a high lip, we try and lift the ball in the air a little bit too much, even without trying. So putting that weight forwards does two things. One, it helps fundamentally the club work downwards, but it also gives you a little reminder that that is still what you're trying to do. You're trying to work the club downwards. So to help with, if there's a thought in your mind that, I'm not going to hit the ball in the air now, I always like to open the face a little bit. It increases the bounce angle, but it also increases the loft on the club, which is going to help the ball fly a little bit higher. Because this is obviously going to encourage the leading edge to point right of target, you've got to open your feet up as well, so that leading edge can point at the target, rather than your feet pointing at the target, but your leading edge pointing right of target. So forwards in the stance, open stance. I always like to see the feet working into the sand a little bit as well to give you a stable grounding, but also to put you, if anything, slightly beneath the level of the ball, which is going to help you take sand again. So open stance, work your feet in to give yourself a stable grounding, and then we're going open with the club face, weight on the left side to help work the club downwards, and I'm looking for sort of 3, 4, 5 inches behind the ball, which might be a surprise to some of you. Some of you might think it's only an inch or half an inch is what I hear a lot. In an ideal world, we want to give ourselves as much margin as possible. If we try and aim for half an inch behind the ball, okay, if it works, great, but for the most part, we're only very close to misstriking and thinning one completely over the back. So try and look for lots of margin, hitting the sand plenty early enough, and then get yourself into your setup, like we said, and have a go.
Great. That's great, Mitch, thank you. You mentioned one word in there, bounce. Can you explain to me a bit more about bounce?
Yeah, so it's just the angle on the bottom of the club here that you can see sort of working up. Now different clubs have different bounce angles. A lot of you might get confused with bounce when you see little numbers on wedges and think, what on earth does that mean? It is the angle on the bottom of the wedge, which when we're using a the wedge in a bunker is essential, because what I'm doing, you could see with that last shot that I've played there, I'm very much working the club downwards, and you can see here when I go downwards, that bounce angle prevents the club from digging into the sand. It actually helps me work the club down, and then the club slides under the ball, and I end up with something like that, which if I get a ball in the way, that's what we're looking for. If there was no bounce angle, we would be very much digging into the sand, or it would be much easier to dig into the sand, which would result in obviously the club losing a lot of velocity and the ball not travelling very far at all.
Brilliant, thank you. Thanks Mitch, that's great. So same as usual chaps and chapesses, if you any questions, please contact us either through my email address, or we're going to turn on the comments page of the YouTube. We are going to do a few of these bunkers, so next time we're going to do wet bunkers, and we have been asked for longer bunkers. So thank you very much for listening, and see you next time.